Hello and welcome everyone to the Main Street Matters webinar. My name is Patrick Kaiser. I am the Executive Director of Heart on Main Street. Heart on Main Street is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping independent retailers thrive within their local communities. This is a monthly webinar series for independent retailers and community organizations. We aim to connect you to experts within their field to allow you to learn and from their valuable expertise and grow your business so you can again continue to thrive within your community. If you are new to our webinar series, welcome. If you are an old friend, well, welcome back and thank you for being here. You can find any of our previous webinars as well as our future webinars through our website, heartonmainstreet.org. Today, I have a plethora of guests, so thank you all so much for being here. I am very, very excited about our panel discussion today. I will let them introduce themselves here in just a minute. But this is the first part of a three-part summer webinar series looking at different ways that retailers can source products for their store. Today's focus is going to be on attending trade shows because, believe it or not, our summer markets are right around the corner, which is crazy to me. I feel like January was just a couple weeks ago, but yet here we are. So with that in mind, since Dallas is really just, 2 weeks away, Cole, I will let you introduce yourself first, and then we will have our other panelists introduce themselves too.
Thank you, Patrick, and thanks for this opportunity to talk about the power of trade shows and the magic, I think was the word of trade shows. I'm Cole Doherty with Dallas Market Center, and I'm right here in Dallas. Behind me sits the buildings and below me the buildings of Dallas Market Center. I am Senior Vice President of Marketing Communications for DMC, and that really includes supporting both buyer delivery and exhibitor delivery for the marketplace, as well as serving in capacity of the communications element of PR, events, creative, everything we do here in Dallas to promote and put on amazing events.
Hello, my name is Angelia Singleton. Feel free to call me Ange. I am with both the Atlanta and Las Vegas markets representing AndMore, formerly IMC or International Market Centers. I am the tenant advocate, and also I manage key accounts in the gift space.
Excellent. I am cutting out kind of some internet, so I apologize. Thank you, Angelia, for jumping in there. But we also have 3 retailers on today. So Donna, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Donna Hale, and I own Doozy's Corner, which is located in the historic downtown McKinney. I am starting my 11th year of business, and it's just a fantastic opportunity to own my own business and gives me lots of freedom of things to do, and I just can't recommend it enough. And thank you, Patrick, for inviting me to be here today.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for being here. Carol Schroeder, introduce yourself.
I am here in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm co-owner of Orange Tree Imports, which has been in business a few months past our 49th anniversary. So I've been to a lot of trade shows in my day. I'm also the author of Specialty Shop Retailing, which is in its 4th edition. I write a weekly blog for retailers at specialtyshopretelling.com and a bi-monthly column for gifts and decorative accessories.
Excellent. And Matt.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here. My name's Matt Treese. I have a little over a dozen years experience in the retail industry, most of them being in the gift industry, but I've also had a toy store as well. So my business is called Be Charmed. As you can see behind me in the background, there's my store. So we're located in Medfield, Massachusetts. We're about 45 minutes outside of Boston, and I've been there since 2017 now, so almost 7 years.
So I guess without further ado, we will jump into some of our questions. And again, I am very, very excited about getting into and really picking the brains of this group here. So let's start by talking about the marts. So Cole and Angelia, tell us about your marts. Are there, unique features? Are there different things that, if I was a retailer deciding to where to go this summer or maybe out in the future, tell me a little bit about Dallas or Atlanta and Vegas.
Cole, I'll follow you. I'll follow you, Cole.
Yeah, sure. So, well, we're first on the calendar, so it's probably appropriate. We'll talk really quickly. We actually begin our apparel and accessories market next week.
Wow.
And that follows in close behind that is the Total Home and Gift Market, Kids World, and Lativation show. So it's a big month of events in Dallas. I'll say that some of the unique features and offerings that we have here, and this is not unique to Dallas, but I think it's special in Dallas, is I think all of us in our industry are leaning into the in-person experience. And whether you are a retailer trying to get buyers into your store, whether you're a brand exhibiting at a marketplace or the marketplace itself, we're all, I think, as collectively an industry, putting emphasis on the in-person experience of shopping, of sourcing, of attending shows. And that's completely invaluable. You have to be there. You need to see, hear, feel, and touch at trade shows this summer. But I'll add a finer point on that, just to point out that something we've noticed here in Dallas. Post-COVID, time is the most precious commodity that buyers have. So we are emphasizing you can get it all done here in Dallas. You can maximize your trip to market. You can find everything in one place. We like to talk about Dallas as a lifestyle marketplace, meaning that whether you're looking for gift or your home or holiday apparel and accessories, it's all right here under one roof. So as you're maximizing your trip, you can do that effectively in Dallas. And I'll add a second point onto that. And that is an emphasis in a broad way on the power of community and the power of the personal relationships you can find here in our marketplace. We really, truly value the relationships that exist between our vendors, the marketplace, the retailers and interior designers, and that's often driven by the rep relationship. We're a big believer in that. In fact, I'll show up a prop. The cover of our magazine, our pre-market magazine, highlights some of our incredible rep agencies and rep groups, because we believe that you got to support your reps, you got to support the retailers, and I'll tip my hand as well to supporting Heart on Main Street. We're pleased to partner with Patrick on a special exhibit during our June show on Heart on Main Street to, again, promote shopping local. That's a few points there, Patrick.
Yeah, excellent. Well, and we're very excited to be partnering with Dallas Market Center. Should be a lot of fun this summer. And Julia.
Yes, I can echo what Cole said. We want to invite everybody to our marketplace, either in Las Vegas or Atlanta, but it's important to go to a trade show and support that marketplace. All market centers bring buyers and sellers together in a marketplace that's conducive to doing business. So again, I'd like to extend that invitation to all of you. Atlanta is known for their very large gift assortment, but we recently added casual, which is outdoor furnishings, and in certain parts of the country, indoor furnishings. We have a brand new expo center in Las Vegas. It also has a very easy to navigate floor plan. Vegas is known for its hospitality and also has gift, home, and furnishings.
Excellent. Yeah. And both tremendous markets. I've attended Dallas, Atlanta, Vegas, as well as several others. I mean, some beautiful buildings, and I mean, just the vendor selection there is incredible. So for our retailers, and this is almost kind of our meta question, but why for you all is it important to attend market? There's options of seeing your reps within your store or going to purchase online, but what value, what benefits do you all get for attending markets?
Well, I think that seeing the product in person and being able to feel it and touch it and see the quality of the product is important. because it's very, very hard to see all that if you're just shopping online. And plus, you get to build a relationship with your sales rep. You can ask specific questions about the product, and you'll get your answers right there. You'll find out, how fast can they ship? How fast are they on reorders? And also, I think one of the most important for me, being that I am a ladies boutique in a historical area where there are multiple ladies boutiques. I think it's important for me to find out if that product can be zip code protected. Because you don't want to sell what the lady across the street or next door is selling. And so your sales rep can help you with that. And now, not all product lines are going to be zip code protected, but a good sales rep is going to say, hey, Doozy's was in here this morning. They ordered this line. So then that person gets to decide, do I also want to carry it or not? 9 times out of 10, they're not going to want to carry something that their neighbor carries. So by being at market in person, I think it's a huge benefit to, seeing the product and building that relationship with your sales reps.
Yeah, some great points.
Yeah, another thing I'd kind of echo what Donna was saying, but also another thing that I noticed, especially during COVID when I didn't attend trade shows, is products would show up and the packaging would either be not what I expected or it just looked very different in the catalog. Also, another thing that sometimes different vendors and groups offer is different specials. Sometimes they'll offer them on the road, but a lot of times that special might be even better at the different markets. So those are the two other things that I'd just add on to what Donna said.
Yeah. And I think I'd like to add the word serendipity. Trade shows are very much for us like shopping in person compared to our customers shopping on Amazon. And when a customer is shopping on Amazon, if they know exactly what they want, it's going to be pretty efficient. And one of the things I hear time and again is people walking through our store saying, I didn't know I needed this. I've never seen this before. I love this. I didn't know it existed. So for me, walking down the aisle of a trade show, I walk every aisle. I know we're going to talk about how to plan your visit, but I walk every aisle, except some trade shows, of course, are categorized. And I wouldn't walk a furniture aisle or clothing because we don't carry those categories. But I scan booths for things that I've never seen before. I go to the discovery room if the show has one. I definitely go to the temps, which is where a small new vendor might be. And then I follow up with those companies. If I find something new, they may not be the most organized. So, you might have to stay on top of them to get an order. But once you have established a relationship, you're going to have a product that other places haven't found.
So, love that. I mean, there are so many great benefits. I mean, you guys are hitting on some of the highlights. I mean, you do get to build that better relationship with your rep, with your vendors. There are different promotions. There are things benefit, from a financial standpoint, benefits for going there because ultimately, unless you're in the backyard of the mart, it is an expense to go, and it's travel and it's hotels, and so being able to find more money and be able to save that, and then the exploration which you just get anywhere else. I mean, it's shopping a gigantic, almost a mall, right, of all of these different vendors, all of these different products that you get to discover what you didn't even know about too. So but a couple of you all have mentioned since COVID. So tell me about from what have you seen change? Obviously, COVID was a thing that changed a lot throughout our industry. But what have you seen change about marts since 2020, 2021, whenever we want to kind of say the end of that was?
Yeah, I can jump in here, take that first. So, one thing that I noticed, so I attended New York Now. I don't know if anyone attends New York Now this past summer or this past winter, I should say. And one thing I noticed is just from, I think it was probably about 2019 was the last time I had gone before that. And if anyone knows the Javits, there's 2 levels. There's an upper and a lower. And New York Now was only on one upper level. and they even had a curtain at the end. So I've noticed markets gotten a little smaller, especially New York now. I also attend Atlanta. Some of the showrooms are a little, they're not as, floors aren't as full. So just in general, a little more empty. Maybe some people are pulling out of the permanent showrooms, but more doing temps. So that's the one thing that I noticed kind of different about markets.
I think the trends that had started before COVID have really made huge changes in our industry. The shortage of reps, fewer people using sales reps, fewer gift shows. Minneapolis and New York are both either diminished or diminished, I would say. And, the increase in people shopping online through Fair, there are changes that might have happened anyway, but similarly to our customers shopping online, it was really accelerated by the pandemic. On the other hand, the first trade show I went back to in person, which was the Minneapolis show in the summer of 2021, when we thought it was all that COVID was done, I was so excited. I was so excited to be shopping in person. And I saw that same glee on the face of my customers when they finally got to come into the store and shop. It's a treat. I mean, I think many of us will agree that shopping for a living is a hoot.
And it's like Christmas every day when all those products come in. Yeah. So yeah, it's a total treat. And so I'm glad we're over COVID. I'm glad that we're back somewhat to normal. And I think it's just going to get better and better. And just being able to see all the new changes at market has been great. Yeah, I love going to market and seeing it all.
Cole or Angelina, are there different things that you all have done since then? How has COVID really changed how the marts are operating?
Well, we definitely saw a contraction in the marketplace, both on the retail side and on the vendor side. But we're finding that a more qualified buyer is now attending market. People aren't window shopping. They're not kicking tires. They're there to buy. And what Matt mentioned about there's certain things that are only offered at markets when it comes to show specials. But I call it the cliff notes to shopping, because you can walk into a showroom and the person or the retailer next to you could say, hey, I've ordered those before, and I always have to discount the red and the yellow, but the blue and the white sells really well. So the networking is unprecedented. We also know that it's not one size fits all. Some people like to do some online shopping. And we find, thank goodness, that most are still coming to markets. Markets are very important. Reps are very important. Online portals have a place as well. But of course, we like people coming to market. Our philosophy is buying a little is good. Buying a lot is great. Buying too much is just about right.
Yeah, I think here in Dallas, we have seen the mindset of the retailer and the mindset, honestly, of the vendor shift a little bit, and to ask themselves where they need to invest their time, or in the case of vendors, invest their dollars on space in order to do better business. As people are making tough decisions on every dollar, we've honestly been the beneficiary of that here. We have seen an expansion of showrooms. We've seen an expansion of buyers, especially from the Western United States, and buying groups, major stores as well, as folks kind of think, where can I get the most out of my experience? Where can I spend maybe a day fewer, but see more? Or in terms of the brands, where am I going to tap into an economically robust part of the country where people are spending money? So I don't mean to be the typical Texan in the room, but it's been a very good 4 years for us.
And I think there are a couple things that you hit on of as the group has, but being a little bit more prepared, being a little bit more strategic in what you're doing, maybe not spending those extra days there to window shop, but really kind of having a more of a plan and understanding where you're going and how to use the most of your time. So, and it kind of goes right into next question, and Carol alluded to this before, but for retailers, how are you preparing so that you can make the most of your time when you're there, and that you can hit all the showrooms that you want or meet with the reps that you want? Are you doing sales analysis before? Are you inventory, budget planning? Kind of what is your preparation plan before you go to market?
Well, I'll start that. Prior to market, I have to decide what new do I want, because every year, every 6 months, I want to bring something new into the store. So the way I decide what to bring in new, if something's not selling well, it's time to move on and find something else. So at least 3 items I'm going to find new. The way I find them first is I go on the Dallas Market website, and I look to see who the new vendors are. And I go through, and there's always a link to their website. So I can look at their website to see if that's a product that I want to sell. And if it is, then I jot their name down. I try to find the sales rep. I reach out and get an appointment. And then I go back and look at all the other vendors, and that's how I find what I want to look for. So I'm not wasting my time at market walking back and forth. And so doing all the window shopping. I have a purpose. I know what I'm looking for. And so I have a plan before I get there and to find that new product. Now, I might miss something on the website, but I am going to spend one day at least venturing around looking at all the windows, walking into the showrooms that might be of an interest to me to see exactly what it is that I want. And I'm always going to meet with my sales reps. We always have a plan of what we're going to order for the next 6 months, because I do it 6 months at a time when I place my orders and do my seasonal certain shows and all of that. So you definitely have to have a plan. And by looking at the website, who's going to be there as exhibitors helps you tremendously. So the Dallas market, and I'm sure Atlanta's is the same way, the website is a tremendous help, and it is a great starting point.
Love that.
Yeah.
Carol. Yeah, Matt. Yeah.
I was going to say, Atlanta actually has an app, and that's what I used actually this past January for the first time. Before that, I used a spreadsheet, and this way I could just highlight what vendors I wanted to see that are either new or existing. Some I definitely wanted to see, and then also every year throughout the year I make a list of vendors that are possibly new vendors that I want to either see at market, if they're there, or connect with them in other ways. So and then I also always have a category list of holes that I want to fill, or vendors that I want to replace. So I always go in with a plan where they are, especially for Atlanta. There's so many floors, so if someone's on floor 13, I want to see everyone on 13 while I'm there instead of going up and down the escalator. So that's another thing I'd always try to do.
Yeah.
And I would say I was similar to Matt, except a little bit more old school. I was using a pad of paper. For New York, when it was larger, I would make a list of the aisles and the booth numbers of the vendors I knew I wanted to see. And I would still walk the aisle, but that way I wouldn't, suddenly realize I'd walk right past somebody by looking on the left instead of the right. Somebody that I wanted to see. We're at a disadvantage in Wisconsin because we used to be able to see our local reps at the Chicago Gift Show. May it rest in peace. And now when we go to Las Vegas or New York or Atlanta, we might see our local rep, but not so likely. And that's a bit of a disadvantage. So we want to make sure that our rep gets credit. Sometimes if you walk into a company showroom and there's somebody working there from the company or from a different territory, they don't get credit for the order. And I feel very strongly about supporting the rep system. So I will always ask whether my local rep will get credit if I write an order, or if I can take notes and write the order when I get home so they get credit.
Well, yeah. So a couple of you have mentioned some resources, that apps, the website. Cole or Angelina, what other resources do you all offer for retailers so that they can prep ahead of time?
Yeah, I'll jump in first if it's okay on resources. Some of them have been mentioned. Having a robust app that allows for planning on that front is important. The website that Donna mentioned, that's very important. The power of social media, of following a brand, following a marketplace on social media, so that you're seeing what they're promoting ahead of the show and being able to flag those or follow up or bookmark them ahead of time. I know we all get a lot of emails, but I certainly hope you're opening the emails from Dallas and checking out previews. And as well, some of the content on the website can be updated. For example, we post our magazine on our website to be able to flip through that digitally. We also, on our website, we'll be posting our buyer's guide, for example, ahead of the show so that people can prepare ahead of time and look at what's new. Our buyer's guide continues to expand, although, it's still edited down to just a few pages, but important pages of what is centering in on what's new. And so I think those tools are among those most important to retailers. And by the way, talking to our team. We have a whole retail team here, talking to reps and getting the idea in the showrooms and exhibitors directly from them of what they're looking forward to. So I just mentioned those things.
Okay. As Cole mentioned, a great app is a great place to start. And Matt mentioned it as well. And I love our AndMore app because you can scan your QR code to be immediately badged. So your arrival experience is fast and easy. As you go into each showroom, there's a QR code just outside. You scan that. And then once you go inside, every product that you take a photo of will scan into that showroom so that post-show, couple days after market, you'll get a recap report of every showroom and all the product that you saw inside, and you can put notes about each product. Because I think the number one question that I get post-market is, hey, I saw this pink poodle dog and I think I was in building 2 or building C. Can you tell me what that product is? So it will alleviate questions like that. But much like what Donna said, you want to come to market with a plan. You want to be pre-registered. You want to have reached out to your rep or your showroom to make a pre-show appointment. I know that gets really hard because you end up overstaying at one appointment and that makes you late for the next, but it's good to come to the show with a plan. And always, always, always leave time for discovery. As Carol said, you want to walk those aisles and just be surprised. If you normally look to the right, start looking to the left, or look both ways, because you do miss things. And we do notice that people typically go right when they walk into a showroom or on an expo floor. So sometimes it's good to start left and work your way to the right side.
Just like a retail store, right? People kind of tend to turn right. You do that, people do it everywhere. So I love that feature with QR code and the pictures. Because I'm sure if someone asked you where the pink poodle purse was, I have no idea. There's 10 million products in here. I don't know where that thing is. So
exactly.
Yeah. You had mentioned appointments. I know some retailers like to make appointments. Some retailers don't like to make appointments, or will make a select few. Donna, Carol, Matt, appointment makers, are you not? What's kind of your strategy with that?
Well, I think Anne's just hit it on the head. If you make an appointment, it's so hard to keep to a timetable. If I make an appointment to write a Christmas order and the company has a lot more than I anticipated, I might run over by half an hour. And meanwhile, the buyer that my rep was working with before so I often don't make appointments unless I know it's a really major order. If it's going to be a 2-hour appointment for me, or hour to 2 hours, I'll set something up ahead of time, because I don't want to end up much as I love, the temporary employees that many showrooms use, to me, it really is worth my time to work with somebody that knows the line inside out. And I'm a big believer in bestsellers. I may ignore them, but I'll say, so, which of these items is really hot? And, at least take that into account as I'm placing an order. And obviously someone who's helping out during the show doesn't have that background.
Yeah.
I have a few main lines. I have a few main lines that I definitely make appointments with because I don't want to miss seeing it in person, and I want to see it with my sales rep because I've built a relationship with them and I want to work with them. But I also don't want to have appointments every day, all day long. And so a lot of times I'll pre-book appointments because since I am in Dallas, I can go the week before and meet with my rep so that during market, I'm pretty free to go and discover new items.
Very good.
Yeah, and I do a few. Usually every market I do maybe about 4 or 5. And they're mostly going to be the bigger lines that I'm buying for, stuff that I definitely need to see in person. And when I do make the appointment, I will only work with my local rep, not someone that's just working for the show. And also some I'll do before market. So for instance, there's a few lines that I definitely want to get in before market hits. Because if I get it in at market, I'm going to be in, a lower queue. So getting some of those orders in before market, especially some key lines, is important before inventory does sell out. Especially because I go to Atlanta, so before that is Dallas. So making sure some orders get in before is important for me.
I love hearing all the love for the reps among this group and retailers. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate that you guys value that. And also what Carol was talking about in terms of, talking to them, getting their insights on bestsellers, that kind of person to person knowledge. I love hearing that.
Of course, the reps have the local idea of what's selling well, which is the movement that just launched 2 days ago. Reps are local too, which is an effort to encourage us all to value our reps and to make sure that they're getting credit for orders that we write.
They're a huge part of the process. And I mean, they know local trends. They're seeing 100 different stores in the area. They're knowing what's selling. So when seeing it at market, they'll know what's going to sell well in your area or what they've seen others do well within your area. And so, yeah, it's such an invaluable source of knowledge coming from the sales reps. So, and so it kind of sound from a appointment standpoint that you all almost on a similar page. You have your almost mainstays that you kind of your big vendors that you will make an appointment with because that might be 2 hours, but others it might be more of a drop in just so because you can't necessarily stick to a schedule. I'm not a schedule maker, have every minute of my day planned out, and doesn't sound like you all are either because that makes it too hard at market. So. From a discovery standpoint, you've all talked a little bit about some ways that you discover new vendors, but what are your strategies for discovering new vendors? And then also, how much of your budget that you have going into market do you allocate for new versus your tried and true?
So one way that I discover besides the website vendors is I will follow different stores on Instagram. I'll follow stores in my area so that I can see what they're selling because I don't want to sell what they're selling. And I'll follow stores in other areas to see what their hot items are. And so
Yeah.
I have hit some really good ones recently. The store in another area far from me bought this new tea towel line, and I thought I'm going to try that, and I did, and it's been one of the hottest sellers. My first order came in April, and I've probably replaced that order 6 times because it is such a hot line. So following people on Instagram can be great for discovery of new items. Anyone who walks in my store can tell that mud pie is my number one go-to. probably 75% of my store is Mud Pie clothing, home decor, the Circa, their gifts. And so probably about 75% of my budget is Mud Pie, and 25% is for other gift items and clothing.
And I do like to go to stores when I'm in an area for a trade show. I must admit that Las Vegas, there are a lot of cute little boutiques near the mart. Although we stayed in old Las Vegas last time, and there were actually some really interesting areas of that off the strip. But when I travel, I like to go to other stores. I have always made it a policy never to write down something when I'm in the store, but I'll buy a sample of something and take it home to get the address. Or I don't know, I suppose today, Angie was mentioning taking pictures in a showroom. That used to be something you would never do. You wouldn't take a picture in a showroom or in a store. I suppose today you could do that. I see people taking pictures in my store all the time. But you're right, finding things in others on Instagram or Facebook or on the, there are a couple private groups on Facebook for retailers. There's one for I'm going to say Zip Dang, the training.
Whizbang.
Whizbang, thank you. We have a store on our street called Whizbang, and I was thinking Zip Dang. Zip Dang. So Whizbang retailers, I have found things that they've chattered about on their Facebook page, but also at the show, as I'd mentioned, the temps and such. And usually those are very small orders initially because they're small vendors. So I might even just bring them in once, just sort of as a little frosting on the cupcake, so to speak. Or I'll do a trial order and see how it goes with the rest of my mix.
Yeah, and I kind of do it was very similar to both Donna and Carol. I follow probably about like a dozen, maybe a little more stores all throughout the country that are similar stores to mine. So you always getting ideas. I also have like a little group of retailers that we're on Facebook, and we're always bouncing ideas off each other. But also another thing that I do that wasn't mentioned, I subscribe to a couple of like industry magazines. So like one being Gift Beat. So seeing what brands are top both nationally and regionally is a good way to kind of find new brands that have been successful. And then also personally, like every trade show, I try to get at least a few new brands. That could even be a $200 order. Not a lot of money, but something new that customers like to see, because we get sick of looking at our old inventory, and customers want to see new inventory just as much as we do. So
great. I love the using of social media in order to understand, Donna, what's in my area that people are selling that I'm going to stay away from, but then what's maybe outside of my area that I can bring in or that's doing really well. And then those Facebook groups, what are people talking about? What trade publications. Those are some really great strategies of helping you discover other things that maybe you hadn't been exposed to in the past. Dallas Market Center and more other things that you all do to, a couple of people have mentioned temporaries already. What are some other helpful things to help retailers discover new product lines?
I would say networking. If you're going to a post-show event, or you're in a buyer's lounge, or you're in a dining area, icebreaker is, what's your best seller in your store? I sort of feel like when you go to social media or you do other things, that's like shopping a bookstore versus asking the person right next to you. That's the library, and it's free and it's easy and it's a way to collaborate. So I really encourage the whole networking aspect of attending markets, because you're going to get a lot of marketing feedback. As I mentioned earlier, not buying the blue and yellow mug, but getting the red and purple one because they turn very easily, or just what Donna told us about her tea towels. If I was a retailer, I would have put something in the chat and said, like, who's that tea towel company?
Yeah.
You know, because I want to know.
What brand
That's
is
the
that?
pearl that you're just not going to get. So, but I do find myself on TikTok looking at, you know, what are the biggest gift trends? And I actually did that last week, and everybody's seeing the facial ice roller, but now people are traveling with these really small mini fridges where they put the under eye patches in, and it's only as big as your palm. But, you know, that's what the kids are doing now. So social media markets, but the whole networking aspect is really important to get the feedback that you need.
Yeah, I'll add to that just in terms of discovery. Obviously, there are tips and tricks we talked about before you go to a market. And that is, we talked about the trade media, who again, the editors and the scouts of the trade media really are with their ear to the ground ahead of market and during market too. And of course, the trade shows sending out their own emails and publications and websites, but at market, there is this opportunity not only to window shop, but the conversations we talked about, the networking that's available. In Dallas, we're going to have an atrium display of new exhibitors in our temps. We'll have, of course, the Heart on Main Street exhibit, which is also going to have exhibitors on display. We'll have a new product gallery upstairs. I think it's just a question of taking it all in and understanding that as you take the time, as Donna said, to wander a bit, or as Carol said, there's serendipity at work. And I think that idea of taking enough time to discover and putting that on your calendar so that you say that I'm going to take half a day, or I'm going to take a set amount of time simply to look for something that's new. I mean, there are beautiful big showrooms that we have here in Dallas, but then there are smaller showrooms as well. Like there's one we recently launched called Gourmet Specialties that has a lot of great gourmet lines, and it's new, so it might be undiscovered. Everybody will, of course, have the big showrooms on their list, but taking time for the temps, we'll have hundreds of new temps, but also smaller showrooms too, so they're able to discover.
And I wanted to mention one more thing about getting a new perspective, and that is, especially when there was a show in Chicago, we would take some of our staff with us, and they always would report back that they had found different things than I had looked at. So it got me a younger perspective in many cases, and also a different perspective. So if you have the opportunity to take another buyer from your store or one of your employees as a guest or as a buyer, it's great to see what they find.
I'll give a technique really quickly, just a very, very short story of a great retailer here in Texas, and the way they approach it is they actually print out floor by floor maps ahead of time. They have a store meeting, they put the maps out, they meet, they talk about who's going to take what area of the marketplace, because they do have a couple of people, a couple of 3 people coming in, and they divide and conquer hallway by hallway. Then they come back for a lunch meeting or later in the day and say, okay, we made our appointments, but what else did you find? And they said, for example, they were here in Dallas and said, I had no idea this area of housewares, for example, and tabletop, had so many lines there. Or they'd gone into the temps and discovered it. Then they will, as a group, go off and visit and see areas that they have discovered. But again, it's done methodically by looking at the maps, or you could do it on the app floor by floor.
Very cool. Yeah. Empowering the group to really take ownership of finding new items and exploring and really owning a part of the store. That's really cool. Donna, any chance you want to drop the brand of the tea towels that are doing so well for you?
Yeah, I will. I don't mind. CJ Bella, the Dolly Mamas.
Okay. All right. Now, if you're in McKinney, Texas, Donna's got those. She's got it on lockdown. But others out in the country, you all write that one down. You only mentioned some networking opportunities from the buying lounges. What are some networking opportunities that the Marts have, or even educational opportunities that you all have, that where retailers can get together and talk to each other and learn from each other?
That's probably where I'm bad, because I just kind of do my own thing when I go to market, and I am so concentrated on what I need to do that I have not taken classes or done any of the networking. I'll talk to other retailers and showrooms. We talk about, what sells best for you or give each other advice. But that's probably, I'm so focused on my goals that I just haven't taken part of any of that.
Yeah, I'll mention a couple of things just in Dallas. If you're, and a lot of this is geared toward new people, but then also veterans who are coming in. We've got a new buyer's scoop every morning of market at 9 a.m. where our team leads a quick introduction to the marketplace and a quick view of what's new, and that's important. Of course, we do, like most people do, trend tours and seminars. We're going to have a podcast studio set up this market with thought leaders, and as a matter of fact, I'm looking at one of them right now. Patrick is going to be, I think, doing a podcast for us. But I think for a lot of the times, it really is important to connect with retailer to retailer and to carve out a little time in showrooms or on a new buyer tour or taking a trend tour or just giving yourself an hour of time to figure out what is my networking time going to be and how do I do that. We'll have the Retailer Excellence Awards here during our market, and that's honoring retailers from across the country. And so there are 21 finalists, great retail stores going to the Retailer Excellence Awards. What an amazing opportunity to go to that event, which includes a cocktail hour to network and trade information with great stores. So just looking for those opportunities.
I would agree. The new buyer orientations are great, whether you are a first timer or you've been before. There's lots of tips and tricks. Again, the tours, the retail roundtables, any seminar on trends, or any seminar on social media, because that's a great way to market your store at little or no cost. But again, if you're like Donna, you don't have a whole lot of time. If she's sitting down in a lounge and looking over her orders, that would be your opportunity to network with her. But if you're going to a Give for Life or a GHTA aftermarket event, you can meet with vendors, reps, and other retailers. It's a wonderful opportunity. We have kickoff parties on the first day of market. That's a great time. There's usually a band. And if you're in Las Vegas, there's always booze. So
Vegas, yeah, go to a show, you'll see half Mart there. So
absolutely.
Coming to the end of our time today, so I want to post show. So spent a lot of time going to our different showrooms and working with our reps. And for retailers, what are you all doing after the show to make sure you kind of get the most of it, most of your time there, to follow up on leads, to look at your orders? What all are you doing after the show?
Yeah,
go ahead,
Matt.
Yeah, so what I do is kind of like what I was saying earlier. So I'll take photos of all the products that I'm looking at, but I'm also taking notes along the way. So what I'll do is when I get home, I'll review all the orders that I placed. If I need to make any edits, I'll make a note to follow up with either the rep or the company directly. Going through the photos of the products that I ordered, make sure they're products that fit the themes that I'm buying for, make sure they fit in with what I'm trying to buy for. Also review any business cards or catalogs that I picked up. And then after that, I'll make sure the orders are all good. I'll hand them off to my staff who actually input the orders into our ordering system. And then if I need to make any follow-up appointments with reps or companies, do a Zoom call, things like that, I'll do that as well.
Excellent. Good.
So I pretty much do everything that Matt just said, but I share with my employees every order, and we start discussing about displays, how we're going to do it so that when that product comes in, we are ready to go. We're ready to lay it out and start selling. And then I go back and I take a second look of things that maybe I missed. I go back and look at these vendors online and look at the product and see if I need to add to the orders. I rarely ever take away. I have a problem with I will only order things that I like. I don't order anything that I wouldn't buy to wear or to put in my own house. So, and I think that's a lot of the reason uh, that I've done well is because I make sure that people are going to like it. And I realize not everybody likes what I like, but I just think it's a good rule of thumb that if I don't like it, if I'm not going to be happy with it, I'm not going to be happy selling it. Mm-hmm. And then after I do all that, then I just pray a lot that, that it's going to work. And, you know, and being that, I think I'm going to share this. I hope it's okay. But I think one of the reasons why my business has been successful is I have wonderful employees that love the store, and uh, I couldn't be luckier to have them. And they take a lot of pride in what they do, and they're just fantastic. But every day, and I started this uh, around COVID because COVID was a challenge, and I wasn't going to let it beat me up. And so I started praying for my business every day and praying for my employees every day. And I think it's made a big difference in my success. And so if I just want to offer that in case someone else is struggling in their business, if they start that practice, it might help them with their success.
I wanted to add that after, well, I used to retail all of my orders in the hotel room that night while I could still remember what I wanted to take extra markup on. Now many of the orders are written with handhelds and you don't get them in print to take home to your hotel room, which is probably just as well. Because you can read them, which is a big change. But I also try and take a few pictures to share on social media of my husband and myself at the show to show our customers that we've been to a trade show and here are a couple of things that we found that we're really excited about, because that's a bit of a behind the scenes look that customers really like. We also do a bi-weekly newsletter for our employees, and we always have a column called New Lines from the show and give a little report from of what we're bringing in.
Excellent. Yeah, all great strategies. I love that. Cole or Angie, things that you had mentioned, getting the recap of you're taking the pictures. Love that. Are there other things that the marts are doing?
Yeah, there are. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Cole.
Oh, just say, yeah, certainly there are. All these are great tools. I think that as a marketplace, we continue the thread of social media. We also work with influencers, and our influencers we work with here in Dallas are kind of salt of the earth experts, whether they're retailers or whether they're interior designers or people that regularly shop the mart. And so after a show, during a show too, they've made their own selections, and we'll share those out in a pace after the show. That continues to work for us. And then there are obviously, emails that go out after the show, which give highlights and give recaps. But I think, as we talked, the most important thing is being true to your point of view. And I know this is probably the final comment on this about the eye of the retailer. But I think that what we found post-COVID is that it's so important for retailers to have a point of view and to be true to that point of view. And I hear that with the retailers on the panel today, and to be able to find a marketplace to go to in which you can find quality, unique products, allow you to stand apart and to promote your unique point of view. So it's encouraging to hear that.
Yeah, I can echo all of the things that Cole said. Influencers, very important. Trade publications also, in their post-market reviews. And we spoke earlier about the app and the post recap report, but we also know that digital tools aren't for everyone. Some folks are still old school, so it's not a one size fits all. I spoke with a retailer the other day, and she told me she only used catalogs. And I spoke with a rep group, and he said out of all of his lines, about 75% still produce catalogs. So there are people walking through the halls with the extra suitcases because they want to grab all those catalogs and they want to thumb through them on their flight home or once they return to their store. So we want to have a little bit of something for everyone. So whether it's the digital tools or catalogs or taking the buyer's guide home with you, or social media when you look at what the marketplace is producing and also what's coming from the influencers in the market. Also, one of my favorite seminars is Ahead of the Curve. We usually have a group of panelists that are talking about what's coming, and we produce a preview about that. It's very important to try to stay ahead of the curve, but also see the trends that are coming down the pike.
Great. We did have a couple questions coming in from the crowd, so thank you all so much for asking. Courtney asks, we are a maker that wholesales and we own a brick and mortar shop. We are considering attending for the first time as an exhibitor and buyers in January. Any suggestions for best show? Any suggestions for best show for first-time exhibitors and or buyers? So maybe a loaded question for for Dallas Market Center and more here. But I think, I mean, it probably a little bit depends on where you're located, but all have great areas, great resources for first-time exhibitors. Your temporary spaces, if you're in a showroom. I think there, having a presence there is important. Retailers, any, I don't know, those that have attended multiple, or Cole, it looks like you're about to jump in.
Well, look, I think all markets offer benefits for first timers, and there is a regional consideration. But I do think that the most important part of an experience for first timer is onboarding. And that's something we've done here in Dallas by hiring actually a former exhibitor of ours, Michelle Doty, to do webinars and a series of that for onboarding, to give first timers the idea of what to expect as an exhibitor. But also we do onboarding for retailers during the show as well. But I say that I think we have the tools to help, but I think the consideration really is where you feel best supported.
I would echo those same sentiments, and you're not going to go wrong in Las Vegas, Atlanta, or Dallas. Going to a marketplace is key. Shopping for your store is great, and exhibiting for the first time. So the intel that you're going to get on the retail side will most likely inform what you're going to do on the vendor side. So I would encourage you, whatever marketplace it is, to go to one where buyers and sellers are congregated.
Great point. And then followed up, they're in Chicago. So am I. So nice to see you. And all of our items are handmade, so a smaller maker. So I mean, from Chicago, really, any of the three marts, it kind of you really can't go wrong there. So. And then another question came from Martin. So going back to the networking concept, what is the best way to stress the importance of networking with others? Think we talked a little bit before of just you're learning a lot from each other, right? From what products are selling really well, where what to avoid, maybe what is selling well within your store. You can learn that from social media, but also it's just that one-on-one conversation that you can glean a lot from. So.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in here. I always think it's a good idea to talk to others, be open with others, whether you're discussing brands at work or, problems in your store, most likely another retailer is experiencing something similar. So I think, kind of talking to others and, just being open about, different things that happen in your business. And, as long as they're not your next door neighbor, I'm more than happy to talk to people.
But I would say, even if they are your next door neighbor, we have a really strong merchants association, and all of the small businesses on Monroe Street support each other. I even have a store on my block, and I said, you don't have to go crazy trying to avoid selling what I'm selling. I mean, for one thing, I've been there 49 years and they're brand new, but also we all share each other's success. The all high tide floats all boats idea. So get to know your neighbors in your business area too, and see what you can do to band together to be more successful.
Yep. And even vendors to carry hundreds of products. If you're carrying 50 of their products, there's a whole nother section that someone else can carry to, and you all can do very well with that. And the stronger your retail commerce section is, more people are coming into it, the better you all will do too. So excellent. I'm not seeing any other questions, and we have run a little bit over our time today. So I want to thank you all so much for being on. I've learned a lot of different strategies and different things that marts are doing and how to prepare and what you all are doing in advance of shows to really make the most of your time. I'm sure our audience has as well. So thank you so much for being on today. A quick plug for our next webinar, which will be at the end of July, I believe July 24th. We're continuing with what we're calling our summer sourcing series, which is a lot of S's to say, but it is a little bit of a tongue twister, but talking about working with your reps. So we had talked a little bit about that today, but working with your reps out on the road and how that can work kind of along with shows. So if you would like to register for that, you can go to heartonmainstreet.org. We have a great group, great panel for that as well. So Donna, Cole, Carol, Angie, Matt, thank you so much for being on today and participating and being able to provide your wealth of knowledge for our audience.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Thank you for having
opportunity.
me.
Yeah. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.